Here I am, Fly Navarro, coming at you live, introducing my good friend Roger Mangione, correct?
Marandino.
Marandino. Okay, I was off by a little bit. Oh, wait a second. Mangione is that's the psycho kid. My
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
My bad.
Oh, that's not me.
Listen, with your shaved head, you might look a little psycho, but you're not. We already have this conversation about psycho earlier. Good morning, Roger. How are you, sir?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Good to see
Good,
you, Flo.
good to see you as well.
Get better, man.
We were just discussing before we started recording about the fact of how we met each other,
Yeah.
and we got a chance to get introduced via the World Cup when I first took it over,
Yeah.
and little by little we've stayed in touch and continue talking about fishing as
Yeah, the sickness known as fishing. Yeah.
yeah, it is. Listen, it's I'm an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
100%. And the thing is, what used to get me excited with blue marlin fishing, it not just blue marlin fishing. I mean, you and I have shared a lot of stories and shared
Mm.
same water chasing giant bluefin tuna as well.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah. I think it was in the 90s. Um, and it's funny how it's such a small community, this community. And, I'm in my mid 50s now. And probably a lot of the people that were really sick with it when they were in their 20s, they're all still around. Maybe a little bit older, but not much, and I I guess you went where the fish were and I remember I think as the story goes, I called Mike Leach. Um I called Mike Leach about the World Cup and I said, "Hey, I'm going to go and I want to fish in it." And we got to talking, and then I called somebody at the Azores, and I forget his name now, but Ian Carter.
Okay.
And I said, "Hey, I want to come and I want to fish stand up. I'm a stand up angler, and that's what I do. It's what I've always done." And he wasn't feeling it. And then fast forward a number of years later, and I was gonna fish in Cape Verde, and or no, was it? No, it was Ascension. It was Ascension Island. I was going to fish the World Cup, and I had Mike Leach's phone number, and I actually was going to take a job with the IGFA because Mike's like, "Hey, you should take this job," and I said, "Well, no, no." I stayed in strength and conditioning, and then you answered,
Okay.
and then we got to talking because you had taken over the tournament at that time, and it was the World Cup number that I had because I think at the time I had like three of his numbers. But what a good dude, and that's
Great
it.
dude.
Yeah, that's just
He just turned 90.
Wow.
Mike is so everybody knows Mike from the IGFA, but I know Mike as Eric's dad. So Eric Leach worked with me on the Real Type for 9 years.
Yeah.
So
Small world.
yeah, that was how I got to know Mike and I got to know Eric. And that's how I kind of got introduced to the World Cup. And I've been blessed enough to been able to oversee it and run it as the director for holy smokes, 10 years now. I'm going on my 11th. So it
Wow.
for me, it's like Christmas in July.
Yeah.
It really is. I get to talk. I mean, this is a perfect example. I get to talk to blue marlin and fishermen from all over the world, from different backgrounds. We all share the same passion, which is blue marlin fishing.
Yeah. And I've been lucky a couple of times, but not lucky enough.
Okay.
It's just
This year, the winner that was out of Tahiti, Fred, when I called him up at whatever time, 10:30, 11 o'clock East Coast time, he was in Tahiti. And he's like, I've been fishing this for 16 years and I finally got it.
yeah.
So he was very, very
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah.
Very excited. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about your background, though. I mean, because you have a great story, what brought you into fishing. Everybody has their cool professions, but you have a very unique profession that you were in.
Yeah. I was in strength and conditioning, well, probably a little under 30 years. I mean, I still do it. I have different clients now. The guy I have now has an autoimmune disease. Really interesting guy. And then, so I'm not training too many athletes at this point, but yeah, I started out really young. I was a competitive weightlifter and powerlifter and was successful at it, drug-free programs that we went through. And then I got to undergrad and I said, hey, this is what I want to do. And I didn't know that you could do that. And that was in the 90s. And I continued to compete. And it was something that it was very similar to fishing. I got struck by lightning and I got, this is what I want to do. Nothing's going to block me from it. And any piece of literature I could get, I read. I went to school for it. Um, and I went to Kane College, part of New Jersey. I'm from South Jersey originally. And, I left Kane. I went to University of Connecticut and I was a strength coach there for 2 years, went to the biomechanics program, graduate school. Never would I think that a kid from South Jersey would get that type of opportunity. At least I didn't think I would. Was always involved in sports. And we did very well while I was there. And we were very meager. Like we didn't have a big room. We had a small staff. I was fortunate, and I didn't know it, that the people that I was working with were really, really superior. They were really top notch. And you just thought that's the way it was. And I was, I was really lucky to have been around those people. They were competitive. I was competitive. It wasn't enough that you were strong. You had to know why. You had to do the research. And I mean, for me, and I've talked to several people in the fishing community that have studied marine biology, and you can't shut them up. They'll talk about it and they'll just keep going and going and going because they're passionate about it. My friend Les Gallagher is one of those people. And so then I went on to graduate school, did really well there, and then I took a job at Brown in Rhode Island in Providence, and I was the director there at age 24 of one of the largest programs in the country because they just had so many sports. And then I was close to the ocean again. And I think I was 23 and I bought a 25 foot, I think it was. It's called a Henry O out of North Carolina. It had two 150 Mercuries on the back. And the fishery at the time fly was poop. I mean, everything was overfished. There was no bass left. There was no tunas left. At least they weren't there. But we tried and tried and tried, and I ended up getting my first giant tuna on that boat on a 50, unblueprinted flip 50.
Wow.
And and then I kind of got stuck with that for a while, sold the boat, and then I started to charter. And I did some long range fishing first. They dropped us in Cabo, and this is in like 94, 95. Dropped us off in Cabo, and we went out to the islands and we stand up fished for these big tunas and wahoo. I did that for a couple of years, and then I said, "Hey, I'm just kind of tired of standing next to people all day." And we went to Panama because they had some big yellowfin tuna. So initially I was pursuing tunas. And, also while I was in Rhode Island, the fishery there started to come back over the years in Massachusetts. And I started to do some commercial bluefin fishing and cod, rod and reel cod, which if you ever really want to wreck your body, do that. Because it's at least for us, it was a 150-foot drop. And those big jigs and you had to bring them up and it was cold. But the tuna fishing really caught my bug and we did well. I was one of the people that brought kite fishing from what I learned on the long range boats to the East Coast. And I had a big giant bluefin on one year. Or the last fish, probably one of the last fish taken. I had an off day from football and we went out and we caught this big giant. It was like close to 800 on a 26-foot center console. This guy, Herb Finlay, what a great dude. And I just was bit. I was bit by the tunas and I couldn't get enough of them. And we went to Panama and I met a fishing buddy on the long range boats in Mexico, and we would charter one charter per year, and we would pay for it, throughout the year because we didn't have any money then. And then we went to Panama twice, did really well. I got my first 300-pound yellowfin on a big skipjack, ate it on a downrigger, I think. And that's when accurate reels came out. We had some of the first 50 wides, and Spectre was out, and we're trying to figure out all that. And the circle hooks came out, and they were big, the big
Big,
Mustads.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
monsters.
like, and we were using those, and it was kind of cool because I had been exposed to the long range community, which was, they're very innovative because they got to get all their stuff really light, and you're on an anchored boat. So you learn your technique really well. And there were guys that were using the rail, back then. I'd never seen that. Um, and I was lucky. I mean, I got a couple nice fish from an anchored boat and fit enough to do it. And then I just never really got in a chair. And so I just always wanted to be a stand-up fisherman. After Panama, this is a crazy story. We went winter bluefin fishing in Carolina one year, and a snowstorm hit. We went to the wrong hotel room, opened the door, slept in there for 2 days, and then we fished on a boat called the Tuna Duck. I think it might even still be there.
Yeah, the tuna duck is still around. That's Billy Maxwell.
Yeah, it was so long ago, and we
Yeah.
white knuckled it there, and we got there and we caught a bunch of tunas. But there were two times in my life, now there's more, but back then, where I saw as far as you could see pods of tuna come up and feed. Once when we were in off of I think the island's Icaron or in Panama. And it was as far as you could possibly see in all directions, tuna busting. And they didn't want anything that we had. So I said, man, let's just sit here and watch. And it was like that winter in North Carolina, but they were all on the beach. They pushed all this bait up onto the beach, and we were like, in New England, we had never heard anything like that. I was like, I mean, this isn't true. This can't be. So the techniques over the years just evolved. We caught a couple of fish, released them. And then I really started to get serious for billfish when we'd go and do the Northeast Canyon tournaments out of New England, go to all those like that 90-mile run and stuff like that. And we did well. But again, we were taking all these techniques from all over the world and kind of merging them. We started using spreader bars and, daisy chains where they hadn't really done a lot of that before. Rig and ballyhoo was, I got from fishing in Florida for sailfish. And then we went and we went down to Brazil, probably the late 90s, and we fished in a tournament, an intermarina tournament, and we won. And I had brought ballyhoo. I snuck them in, and they're like, "You're not going to catch nothing on here. They don't eat that stuff down here." I go, "I'm pretty sure they. But that was the mentality, It was like, in certain areas, this is what you did. You used the purple worm, not the orange one. And then
Yeah.
someone catches on the orange worm, and then next thing you know, you're using a blue and white Islander, and you're on the other side of the world. And then I went back, I don't know how many times fly, but I fell in love with the place. The people are just so festive. They don't have a lot of money. Um, and we fished that place. I gotta say, I probably went down there 8 to 10 times over the years.
Wow.
Had some great fish. Everything we caught was big. Like I remember I have a photo somewhere of me holding a Dorado, and I don't know how big it is, but well over 50 pounds. A wahoo I caught one time. I caught a really big yellowfin. And the marlin, when they were there, they were there. But when they weren't, they weren't. And it was a rough fishery. From there, I went to Ghana. I think that's how it was. 2005, I went to Ghana. Um, and that's when it was really hot. The bite was there. There's big name boats were there, like the Hooker was there with Clay, and Bo Jens was the mate. I fished on a 31 Bertram, like I have so many times over the years. Karma, which was their ambassador for Ghana, Johan Zeitzman, very interesting dude, passionate guy from South Africa. The Dyfkin was there, that old
Huh?
wood nut boat.
Yeah, the Australian boat.
Yeah, yeah, that was there. Spent some time with Bo and with Clay. And I think we had 10 days offshore. It was a river mouth that we had to go in and out of.
Brutal.
Yeah, yeah. Really dangerous, man. And that was my first experience. Brazil was different, but that was my really first experience of, hey, you're not in Kansas anymore, man. I mean, you're in a different part.
You're in a third world country
Yeah,
now.
you are a different part of the world. And people were super cool, man. Really unbelievable people. But, the conditions were demanding. And on the first day, I got a really big fish that we called 859. And the difference there was no structure on the bottom. And so you would go to where you thought the fish were, and they had these canoes out there that they were dugout canoes that the native people would go out there and they'd fish for these mackerel and they'd hand line like this. I don't know how far they were dropping out. No cover, really admirable fishing. And and we hooked into this really big blue marlin. I caught it on a Marlin Magic Ruckus that was jetted, and one of my favorite lures
A
of all.
jetted ruckus.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
I still have it. I have it somewhere, and the bill marks are still on it, and from that fish. Because I was fooling around with a drill one night, don't tell anybody, and I was maybe trying to drill out the bottom and put a stopper in it. So
Ah,
let's leave that alone.
don't tell anybody.
Let's leave that one alone. But yeah, it's still around. It's a cool lure. And then so we got a fish on the first day, and then we got a fish on the last day, and it got tail wrapped, and we killed it, and it drowned. And then we fed the community. It's really kind of cool. I was sad to see the fish die. And then in all the fish over the years, that one was one that was killed. Um, two or three white marlin, one huge one in Ascension, one in Kona, and the one in Ascension ate a marlin lure and it poked its eye out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they ate it, and then the one in the Azores was eaten, also a huge white marlin. But and then I killed one in Kona last year, so only really two blue marlin in all of the years. And that was a tournament, a bigger fish too. And then, along the way, during my lifetime, the fishery has really rebounded. And, you can talk a lot of things about it. But I think that them closing the long lining in the Straits of Florida really changed the game.
It changed a lot.
Yeah.
It,
I mean,
it changed a lot. And they were trying to reopen it this year. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I, you know, I lived it because I was a boat owner in New England. So it's kind of the northern stretch of all of that.
Yeah.
And he had talked about like, giant bluefin gone, swordfish on the surface. They used to talk about it and it was like wives' tales gone. So then we go to fish one time with Ray Rocher in Miami on the Miss Brit. Great deal.
Class act.
What a great deal.
Class act.
And his wife, is it Charlene or something?
Ex-wife now.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It happens.
It-
So, you know,
I'm not saying
uh,
anything. I'm just
yeah,
correcting you.
yeah.
That's all.
Thank you. I remember her, and we got three in one night.
Okay.
So that you saw it evolve, and then in New England, all the striped bass had been gone. So they said, "Hey, you can't fish for striped bass, but you can take all the ground fish." And then striped bass came back. There was nothing to eat.
Mm, yeah.
You're literally learning the stuff that they talk about in books, and you're seeing it. And then the Ghana trip was really eye-opening. I started to get further along in my career after being in Brown. I went into pro sports. I'm from South Jersey. I got a chance to go to coach for the Philadelphia Eagles as an assistant, and I went. And what an unbelievable, I got to coach with Andy Reid, which is just a top-notch human being and a really advanced coach. And the cool part about being at Brown is that we built that program up. There was a bunch of us that were just dedicated. We didn't care where we were. We didn't care about any. We just wanted to win, and we built it up. And I left Philadelphia for another opportunity with the Colts in Indianapolis to be the director, and I was there. And then I got some downtime. And during that whole time, I still had to get my fishing sickness done. So I would go up into Canada and go into Prince Edward Island and fish with the Nortons. And you'd get every time I went, we got fish. And one year we had a future Hall of Fame kicker when I was with the Colts, Adam Vinatieri, and he's a sportsman. He's like you, he does hunting and he's into, guns and he says, "Hey," and we're similar in age, and he says, "Hey, Roger, I want to catch tuna." I says, "All right." Well, and we had a bye week. And I said, "All right, well, we got to go." I said, "We're going to go." And we went up and I didn't have my reels, but I had my rods there. Spencer had them for some reason. Well, I brought them. I can't. So we had out of the box 50 Tiagras or 80 wide Tiagras. So you can only get 44 pounds of drag out of those. So we used them. And I said, "The good news is you're going first." I said, "The bad news is you're going first."
Yeah.
To me, and I said, "Now
You're the guinea pig.
this is a guy that's elite, he's at what he does. And there's a
Yeah.
reason for that. And I have found that in my career. There's a reason why they're that good. And talent has something to do with it, but it's really this. So anyway, so he wouldn't get a chance to watch me do it on stand-up first. So anyway, sure enough, we got the kite out, boom. He gets bit and the fishing was slow. We had to work hard. And he's on this fish and he's on this fish and he's doing everything right. But what sometimes people don't realize is you can be as fit as you want, but sometimes your arm can only turn the handle so many times. And tunas are different than marlin. I'm happy to talk about this, in my opinion. The good news there is that it's only, maybe at the deepest fly, what, 180, 200 feet?
At the deepest 180. At the
Yeah, yeah. So,
deepest.
so your chances of getting spooled, it can happen, but you're not anchored up. Yeah, you're probably
Yeah.
not going to get spooled. So anyway, I said, "Listen, there's going to be a couple portions to this fight." I said, "In the beginning, you just have to catch up to the fish, and I don't care who you are, they're going to
Yeah.
run."
Yeah.
And
And there's
he's
nothing you're going to do about it either.
right. Yeah, you got to be patient, and and I said, "Listen, rule number one is when they rest, you go." I said, "You cannot let them double rest on you." And so. And mind you, we didn't have my reels. My reels were blueprinted by Cal and Eric Sheets. I can put a lot more drag on them, but he's got out of the box. And so he gets this fish, he does everything perfectly. And then at the end, his arm is kind of, the juice
Give,
isn't there.
giving up on them.
Yeah. And I love Vinny and he knows I'm going to tell the story the way it went down. And he gets done, he gets a fish. And I gotta say, because all my fish there, with the exception of two, I think, were released. And it's 700 easy all day. And he gets done and he's, within the time limit, because there's a time limit there. And he says, "I don't ever want to do that again." And I said, he says, "Oh," he gets checked off. And I said, go have go, rest." And I said, and he comes back and he goes, "I want to do it again." I said, "All right." I said,
It's
"Well,
addictive,
I
man.
said, we got two more shots." And then I get this fish and it was over $1,000 and we released it. And you know that fly because when they come up and they're big, they look like small cartoon characters.
Oh,
When
it's
they come up and
amazing.
they're real big, they look like a real cartoon character. You're like, that's something you see at Disney World. The head is like it's weird. Like,
It's totally different.
and you're like, now that's big. And when the Norton said, "Roger, but we released it. And then we were really close to shore and he gets another one. and he was able to apply his left hand more for drag, and he watched, and he ended up getting two 700-pound class fish,
Yeah.
and for one and two. I said, Vin, I don't not many people have can say they've done that on stand up, so that fishery has a huge part in my heart. Those people up there, it's a wonderful part of the world.
I love it up there. The
You
people,
know,
and you hit the nail on the head. The people. The fishing's great. The scenery is great, but it's the people that make it because the Canadian Maritime is unbelievable.
yeah,
And it just sprouts good people.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, like, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go catch bait," and I'm like, "Oh, we got to run." And they're like, right here.
No, no,
See,
it's
right
yeah.
here. It's like, well, you're
Yeah.
not doing nothing here. Here's a bait rod, and you're
Yeah.
catching mackerel in the marina, or you got to go 10 feet out. But and then I'm trying to think. From there, I started to fish further up into Cape Verde. I've been there two or three times, two times for the World Cup. The first time going through Lisbon, they wouldn't let my rods on the plane because there was a weight limit that had already been reached.
Oh,
So I fished out of the chair, right off of Town, Luis Roque on the hooker, which, oh geez, I forgot about Ascension. But with that group, Mateus, that owns that Atlantic Fishing Charters, that had the boat in Ascension.
the hard matin.
Harmattan.
Yeah.
Harmattan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I knew him and I said, "Hey, I want to go there." And I fished there in the World Cup. We got two fish non-qualifying. Went back a few years later and then got two fish qualifying. That's the roughest I've ever fished in. On a Hatteras, and that was with Luis Roque again. And coming home, there was three of us. It was Olaf, our boat, and then there was my Victoria, and we were kind of trolling towards harbor, towards the end. It was like
Yeah.
15 minutes. And my Victoria got the 950 and won. And they were right, we were within probably cumulative, maybe a mile and a half of one another in that channel there.
And they hooked up with like 15 minutes, 16 minutes to go.
Yeah, I mean, I called you or I said something. I said, and there was a big gathering. And I remember it, and I see the scale, and you're like, "How much? How much?" And I think I sent you a photo,
Yeah.
950, because no one knows. Like, you're pulling this thing up, and you're like, "That's
It's,
big. Hey,
yeah.
it's big." And is it? It was a long fish, as I
D
remember.
did you ever hear how I got notified? The hookup?
Uh-uh.
Olaf sent me a Instagram DM.
Oh, I believe that.
He
Yeah.
just says, "Hey, my Victoria's hooked up." And I sit there with a computer, two phones. I'm because so many people, I mean, nowadays, uh, with internet, people are WhatsApp messaging me, they're Instagram messaging me. So he just sent me, "Hey, they're hooked up." And I look, and I'm like, "Hey man, that's 16 minutes before line's out. You're good."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're good.
And to put that, even for me, and I was there, like, it was really, really rough. And for them to get that fish that fast and to get it in, and they're a great group. I mean,
Oh,
like you said, it's just a great group of people.
yeah.
You
I
know?
ended up going fishing with him in Palm Beach. He speaks no English.
Yeah.
He's Russian, speaks no English. But I got a call. "Hey, do you want to go fish with Sergi?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I mean, it's my hometown. So I called Mike Leach. I go, "Hey, do you want to come join me? This is a past winter. Let's go spend a day with him." And we got a chance to hang out with Sergi and fish with him. And he goes all over the world. I don't know if you follow him on social media. He goes
And it
all over
was,
the world,
and the
loves to
fishing
fish.
wasn't good. The fishing was really slow. And all of a sudden they show up, they had a film crew,
From
with
they were
drones coming
creating
up, and they won.
they were creating a promo video for Cape Verde for the Russian audience.
Well,
He
what
got
better?
the whole thing on
Yeah.
video. I saw the video. It's all in Russian because he created a charter industry down there in Cape Verde for himself, and he kind of caters to the Russian crowd because he's from Russia, and he created a documentary, and they were going to do it for the World Cup, and next thing you know, they win the tournament.
Yeah, and like I said, the fishing was slow. Then that day for
Yeah.
whatever reason, and you couldn't really because of the weather, there weren't many boats that could venture, and but anyway. And then probably the coolest place it is, and then I'm gonna get to the place I love the most. The coolest place was Ascension.
Okay.
Being able to go there and depart on that journey. We had a lady out of North Carolina, um, who she was our travel agent. And I'm trying to think of her name, but the business is gone now. But Paul and she would help us get to all these parts because back then it was telephone and that's it, no email, and then later on, this guy Bill DeGraw got like a 1300 on Ascension. And I called him up and he's like, "Hey, you gotta call this lady." And she handled the whole thing. And Basil Pappas and I from BHP Tackle, we went. He's the Long Ranger. And we went and same thing. First day, I got to that point what I thought was my biggest blue marlin. And it ate a Joe Yee Apollo, which probably, if I had to guess, has been my most successful lure of all time. If I had to guess, that or a wide range. Um,
Can't go wrong with a wide range.
I mean, listen, and I know you know the story, but if you don't know the story, find out the story about those lures. But and yeah, it just catches. It just
Yeah.
catches. And so anyway, that was with the mate was a guy, Craig Manza, rest in peace, and Colin. Oh, geez, Colin. His long black hair, but these guys were spear fishermen, and they would go down there and they would mate. And this Olaf had left for the season, and we called it again. We called it 859 because that's what you do. And then everything else was big, but it was a lot of boat ride. It was a lot of boat ride. And then the following year, we fished the World Cup there, and our flight got bumped out of Bryce Norton Air Base in southern England. We arrived the morning, and we were fishing stand-up 80s at that point, blueprinted um, 80 STs, Penn 80 STs. And we landed in the parking lot. This is a moonscape you land on. It's a rock that comes up out of the ocean. NASA has a base there. The US has a small base, and the British basically run it. And 9.5 hours over Africa, and you land there, and we're literally putting our rods and reels together in the back of a
On the
pickup
plane.
truck. No, like they ushered us through because they knew the grounds people, and I had become really friendly with the base commander for the US because he was a Baltimore Ravens fan and I was in the NFL. So back then you could send care packages to everybody on this island because it was pretty desolate. And uh we're putting the stuff together and we get there and it was just before it was like 7 in the morning or whatever their time. And we get out and there, luckily, lines are in. Like as soon as you leave the harbor, there's no harbor really.
Yeah.
It just pulls.
You're anchored up outside.
Yeah. Yeah, you're there, and it happened really fast. We I caught an Atlantic sailfish. Both of these fish, Atlantic sailfish that fly, I don't know how big this thing was,
It
but
had to be massive to get out there, man.
it ate a wide range. It ate a wide range. And I swear to God, this happened. And then Then automatically, probably 10 minutes later, I catch a 170 pound, 180 pound yellowfin tuna on the Joe Yee. And we pulled the tuna in because there, protein's hard to get, and they pulled it in and it's at my feet on Harmattan. And then we saw it. We saw this fish comes up on the right short. It was a Coggins lure, comes up, and we all looked at each other and go, that's the fish. And it grabbed that lure like it was, I mean, it's a big lure. And it grabbed it like it was, your
Like,
finger.
nothing like a peanut.
That big. It like gulped it. And we're like, there's no way. And that's when I actually had one or two lures with a double hook rig on it, and it had a double hook rig. 11 7691 S's, the old Moostads.
Yeah.
And took a ton of line off, and I'm in my harness, and I got this stupid yellowfin at my feet, and I'm moving around off.
Oh,
Jumped. And we're like, that thing was really big. It was really big. And that's the year that Stephanie Choate won it in Kona.
oh, that was the last year I fished the World Cup when I
Yeah,
was run
she
when
had a nice fish, like
it was,
eight or something like that.
no, 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 no. It was six and change, but it was long. It was 131 inches.
Okay.
It was like 665, skinny, long and skinny. That was the year I was running the Sapo. Last year I ran a boat, and we heard she put it right there. Yeah, well, Kona, right there at Kaivi Point. That's where she hooked it and caught it.
Yeah.
She was right outside the harbor.
Yeah.
And by the time we were coming in the harbor, I can look at it. They hadn't announced the weight. And I'm like, man, that's a long fish. And it was like 665, but 131 inches. Man, I've caught a handful of, you know, four or
Yeah.
five of them that were well right around a 130, 131. Those are long fish, man.
Yeah.
131 inches short length is a long fish, but yeah, that was a good year. That was 13 or 14.
I want to say it was either 13 or 14.
Yeah.
I went on a stretch there where I could go because that time of year, the only time you would get 1 week off per year when I was still in the NFL. So I
Oh,
would
that makes sense in July.
yeah. And then I took the journey finally. I called up Les Gallagher. I said, I want to come to the Azores. This is, I don't know, 19, 18, something like that, something like that. And I said, I'm going to fish stand up though. And he says, no problem, man. Just have you been? And it turns out this is such a small community. Les was the guy that drove Harmattan, which is a 36-foot rampage from Ghana, West Africa,
To the
to
Azores.
Ascension.
I
To
mean, to
Ascension.
the Ascension.
Yeah. And Zach Condi was his boy. He drove Shy too. And this story's famous. Like that story is worth. I mean, how they got there and everything. And they said, yeah, you can't be here. So, well, we're here. And then they made a rule
What
and the
what are you
votes.
gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, and so anyway, and then they ended up knowing some people from Ghana so anyway, fast forward, I get to Horta, which the Azores I cannot say enough about. I know you've been there.
It's beautiful.
I'm gonna retire there, and it's just for me, that
Come
place
on,
is
be honest. You ain't retiring.
well, I mean, like have some place down the road.
Yeah, but
That's
you're
where I
gonna
want.
always have a project or something going on.
Well, maybe so, but like my point is that when I think about a peaceful place that
It's
has,
very
you know,
peaceful.
for me, that's my spot.
Yeah.
Some people like the warm weather. For me, that's my spot. But and so I meet Les for the first time, and we're in it's called Oceanic. That's their spot now. You've been in there, and it's like and I look over and I see this white-haired guy, and I go, I said, what the fuck are you doing here? He goes, Roger, I'm going to be your mate. And it was Luis Roque that I knew from Cape Verde.
Oh, okay.
Oh man. And then I look over and I see Marty Bates, who I had met in Cape Verde. And the reason I met Marty because I said, "Hey, you driver Henriquez, that boat was built by where I grew up in South Jersey. Henriquez's were built
Yeah.
there, and also in Portugal, but and he gave me a tour and all this, and then I go, oh man, this is going to be good. But it was in August, and the fish hadn't really gotten there yet, and so I go out. I sit down with Les for like I don't know how long, 2 hours talking fishing. Yeah, I'm going to get to the point here.
Now listen, that's what
And
fishing's all about, telling a
yeah,
good story,
and
man.
we and historically in Horta, the fish come not always, but they come in the north, and it's like kind of sheltered. And so we're going back and forth in the north. Within an hour, short left, he lets me troll my own lures, which that's not always easy.
No, a lot of captains
Yeah.
won't put up with
Yeah.
that.
And so it ate a hog, which is a Crampton bait, which I had from Brian Crampton's father, Scott Crampton, who has passed. And then Brian Crampton took over the business. But anyway, I had the lure for a long time. Beautiful. It's a work of art. This monster comes, bah, and peels off this line, right? And I just do my thing like I always do. And I'm doing my thing. And I'm in the back of my mind, I'm going, this guy is really good. Like I'm going, this this was on Brasilia,
Okay.
the the 40-foot black watch, and it's got nice combing. I couldn't have been happier. Nice deck, and he's doing his thing, and I'm in my zone. I'm using my hand signals, but I don't think he knows what they are. But he's still doing his thing, and he's calling me Gary, right? And he's in that voice. Hey, Gary, he's doing that voice. So we get the fish. He puts a perfect bow in the line. I stay on this fish because I'm like, man, I know this thing is big. I'm not gonna let anybody down. I'm on stand up. They don't really know. And we get the fish, and he comes down and he looks at me and he goes, how many marlin have you caught in your life? And I had no idea what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. I mean, with striped marlin, a lot, and blue.
Yeah.
I don't know. And he's and so we get the fish. I have a photo of it right behind me. It's beautiful. I don't know. In the eights, probably, maybe
Yeah.
more. And we release it. And I go, the remainder of the trip, we didn't catch anything. Nothing. But what a great fish. And it was the start of their season. It was the first kind of big fish. And then they had a really good year that year. And then so for 3 days, he's calling me Gary.
So you let them go three
I
days?
was focused, man. I'm like, listen, if this is how it's going to go. You know how it is, man. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm the only angler. I'm on a boat. We got a nice fish.
Don't fuck up
Those
a good
days-
thing. If you want to call
Yeah,
me Gary, call
no
me
bananas on
Gary,
this
man.
boat. You know what I mean? Like he wants to call me Harry. That's fine. And so we go up top, which I never do. Like I never go up top because I'm ready. I have my harness on. I get made fun of it. I got the plate across. That fish comes on, I'm in quick. I get made fun of it. And I go up there, and Luis is sitting there with Les, and he starts calling me Gary, and Luis goes, his name's not Gary. And Luis speaks like three languages. He goes, it's Roger. So now you walk down the dock in the Azores and you yell, Gary, and everybody
Uh,
else,
they all
everybody,
know who it is.
there's t-shirts and stuff with the names on it. But yeah, that place is, and I've fished with Les, and I would honestly
That
say,
place is special. It is a very beautiful, beautiful place. It's like going back in history when you go there.
yeah, absolutely. Like you'll go to see a church and there'll be the Knights Templars cross on it.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that's old.
Yeah.
And it was a whaling destination
It
and
was a whaling destination till 86.
yeah,
1986, they were still whaling out of there.
and you still see the whales, but like
Yeah, but they don't kill them now.
and then what I didn't know either is that when they had the volcano, the last one that went off and everybody migrated to like Fall River, Mass and
Yeah.
Providence. I mean, I knew I had Azorian Portuguese friends and I never put two and two together. But
It's a special, special island.
Yeah, and don't go there because I don't want to get into
Don't
trouble.
tell anybody about.
Don't tell anybody. But we go in the off season now. We go in February. My daughters and I are going to go in February, and on the main island, it's just some of the most beautiful things you can see that you're not going to get a chance to do. Like walk inside of a volcano crater, and there's a whole town inside of a crater, and you're like,
I have a picture in my office. I was standing on top of the pickup truck I was driving, and I had the crater. Literally, you could see down the
yeah,
crater, and
yeah,
then on the other side, I took a selfie.
yeah.
It's the whole mountain going down, and then the ocean. I mean, it's absolutely
Yeah, you got the
beautiful.
Atlantic on one side and the
Exactly, and
flowers
then
and flowers everywhere.
flowers
Yeah,
everywhere. But I was right on the edge of the crater. It's like a 30-foot drop. But it's a beautiful, beautiful island. And the
yeah,
people are nice. The food,
food, man.
I don't drink, but the wine there is spectacular. Everybody that fished with us, they'd sit there and drink all that Portuguese wine and
Yeah.
absolutely love it. But it's just, a lot of times with blue marlin fishing, people think of Caribbean warm weather, but this is just, it's like Madeira. It's like Madeira, you know?
Yeah, that's a great point, Fly. And I think I've seen it kind of resurge. And because prior to that year, I think it was kind of slow. And the thing is like Horta's out there to the west, and the fish could have been somewhere else in some of the other islands, and no one's fishing for them. But having said that, too, is that like I don't know about you, but like when you were searching for big, big fish, big blue marlin, you normally got one or two shots if you were lucky.
That's it.
Now you go and like I went with one day with Les, we caught four and missed a fifth.
Wow.
They were all over. That was on a Crampton tube. And I said, it's just, I don't want too much less, but like, you know, and I have a witness on this. He's like, you get the two fronts, I get the two rears because the day before everybody caught and we didn't. But then the next day we almost set the record for the boat because at that time I think it was 4 for 4.
Okay.
And then we went 4 for 5. And that fish was literally the hook just came out when, we were like within sight. And I use a
Yeah.
wine. So anyway,
Okay.
but I pulled a tube on the left shore, which you would never think to do, but he trolls his boat at 9 knots.
Oh, wow.
So his first wake is
It's way
back.
back there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it just kept getting bit. It just kept getting bit. And then we even caught a mako on the same lure. Yeah.
Wow.
A Crampton tube that Brian made. So I love those lures. But yeah, I mean, I could sit here and talk about the Azores. I'm sure you can too.
Yeah. I can listen there.
Close.
Every place I've ever fished, I can sit and talk for hours because I've always been one of those. I've been very, very blessed where everywhere I go, I don't just go for 5 days of fishing. I fly in, I fly out. Most of the time I go places, I go in there for a month or two. So I get to meet locals, I get to enjoy the local food. Uh, yeah, I mean, everywhere I've been, I get to enjoy the whole aspect of it. And um, you meet some great people, and
Yeah.
it gives you an idea how other people live and how other people enjoy it and watch how what makes them love fishing. I know why I love fishing. For me, it's the team aspect of it,
Yeah.
especially blue marlin fishing. I grew up playing team sports, but I'm 5 foot nothing, and I couldn't go any further. But I miss that, and that was the one thing that blue marlin fishing gave me was a team aspect, and I absolutely loved it. So over the years, as you like, same thing with you, as you're fishing with all these people, you get to find out why they love fishing, and everybody loves it for a different reason.
Yeah, you're so right. And like Paul and I used to say, this is a long time ago, we'd go, hey, I know you're a real famous captain, but who are your mates? Because we know that that's who we're going to be hanging out with.
Yeah.
And I actually, you told me about the guy, and that's why I went there. But like when we first went to Panama, this lady, it was the Coiba Explorer.
Okay.
Used to be called the Royal Star or something, but it was a dive boat that they converted into a mothership, and it was based on outside of Coiba Island in Panama, which I don't know if it still is, but it was one of the last penal colonies. So you would land on this plane. This plane would take you on this penal colony, and then they'd come pick you up on these 28-foot expresses. And you'd go and you'd anchor up on the other side and you'd go out and fish. Well, there was this guy named Bartolo, and he was one of like, I don't know, some crazy number fly, like 10 brothers. But they all were mates and captains. So, and there's this other guy named Kid. So when you got those two guys, you were good. And we fished with Bartolo. So man, he was really excellent. And you learned so much from those guys and the mates. That mate was like, he was like the ball boy of Wimbledon, man. One tiny little speck, he was over there and he
Boom.
came back. And yeah, and I remember one day we got into these tunas and I have a photo of me somewhere laying with them, and three of them, they were all 200-pound class tunas. And we had two in the boat, two or three in the boat. It's a small 28-footer. And I'm in the corner with the fish of my lifetime, yellowfin wise. And we're using some fluorocarbon first came out, 200-pound fluorocarbon or whatever. And I break the braid harness. I go to sit down on it and it had plastic buckles at the time. And the
Oh,
buckle went poop, poop. So I'm with a bent butt stand up, one arm. I can't use my hand. Back then, if I'd have known better, I'd have put the clicker on and put more drag, but I
yeah.
didn't. And we get the fish. But while we're there, the, one of the yellowfins comes back to life. And then it starts to undulate. And I'll get to my point. And, it's a big yellowfin and it's hitting me in the legs. And the mate, I swear to God, I don't know his name, but he got down there and he's pushing his arm underneath of it and he's keeping, because he knows I'm on a big fish.
So he's
Anyway,
trying to pin it in a corner.
yeah, he's trying to protect me.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we get the fish, and then the captain comes down and pulls on the leader because he thought it was 400-pound test and broke it off.
Ugh.
But we had enough fish.
Yeah.
But the mates, you fast forward, and you told me about the guy in Panama who had all the had his own little island, the guy from Florida, and we
Oh, Shane.
Shane, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Katie and I went out there and fished. And I'm talking to and you know who the good captains are and stuff, and you figure it out. And I said, "You guys know Bartolo?" They go, "Bartolo." And all of a sudden, I was one of the boys
Yeah.
because I knew Bartolo and Kid. But yeah, that was one of the cool things. And it's such a communal sport that sometimes the mates or the captains don't have a lot of means. And you help them out with, like I remember our mate in Brazil, we bought him a freezer for his house, refrigerator and freezer. Because, they'd get bycatch, they get Dorados, and the next thing you know, like, they don't have a lot. Or like the guys in Ascension, we would send them care packages of like spices to cook with because they're bored. But those were always wonderful. Like Bo Jens.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Bo since 2005. And then I'm working with GZ Lures, and I said, I know he does something with gloves. And then I called him up and he remembered me.
Yeah. Listen,
That's
it's
crazy.
it's tiny. This is a
Yeah.
tiny, and it doesn't matter where you go in the world. Uh, it's so tiny. I like to refer to it as a fraternity.
Yeah,
We're,
there's no
we're,
question.
we're a fraternity. It doesn't matter where you go in the world. You go to a marina, you know somebody.
And everybody's a little off, which I'm okay with. It takes a while. It takes a special guy to go out there or gal and to be, you
You're
know,
right. We're all a little crazy.
yeah, I mean, my good friend Andrea, she's got the women's world record on 50 for big guy, 300 or 305 or something. And you talk to her and we talk about fishing and it just goes. So you're there for 2 hours, like in your appetizer's cold.
And listen, you can talk there for hours and we don't even drink.
Yeah.
It's even easier when you're drinking, man.
It's easier to forget it. Well,
Uh,
I got it's, you know who it is, but he's like, I said, how'd you do? He goes, I went 4 for 5 today. I go, you did? He's like, yeah. I go, I didn't see you turn the handle once. You're up there driving the boat.
uh,
Then he had a couple more drinks in him. He comes over and I said, well, if you think it's easy to catch 4 really big blue marlin on stand up, I said, you can try it, and then we went back and forth.
that is so
Next
funny.
day, completely forgotten. Yeah,
That's what it's all about. You sit up at the bar, you tell stories, man. You
is
tell stories. Don't listen. One of the first rules I learned when I started fishing is don't ever let the truth get in the way of a good story. You tell
no.
the story. You
All
tell the
fishermen are
story.
liars. What is it? All fishermen are liars. I'm not sure about, me or you, but I'm not sure about you. Something like that.
Yeah. Well, I know a couple stories like that one too. So tell us a little bit about how you got into GZ lures. Because listen, as most people know, I'm traveling all over the world, and the story of GZ lures continues to go. So, and I've talked to Cole a little bit. I've talked to
Yeah,
you a lot.
yeah.
Tell everybody a little bit about what you guys are doing with GZ lures.
Really cool story. And I'm trying to think of how it actually started, but Cole is somebody that's just 100% cool dude, great guy, down, just and that gets lost on people in the fishing community, in any community. And I worked in pro athletics. I mean, you're out there offshore, the guy better be know what he's doing because those boats go down fast,
Yeah.
and you get into trouble really quickly. So, that's one of the things over the years that I've always kind of, and just in general, those are the people I like to be around. So we got to talking about lures, and it might have been over some Joe Yee lures. There was a time when I had such a collection of those fly and rare stuff that if I had it now, it'd probably be worth, I don't even know
Yeah, a
how much.
lot.
Yeah. And over the years, you give them to people or whatever because no one ever thought that they were going to be. But I think my last one that I still have is 30 years old.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
easily, yeah, 30 years old. Because I mean, if I date it back to when I had it in Rhode Island, that was, 30 years ago. So, and it's all, mangled up,
Mangled up and
still
chewed
my,
up.
yeah. And so anyway, I got to talking to Cole, and I'm like, this guy is really, really cool. He's good, and we just got to talking, and I get on the phone with him, and he's good people, so that we say from Jersey, and I just developed a relationship with him, and he's like, and he would come up on like, hey, I want to go in this direction or this lure maker or that. And I said, well, I might know somebody that knows him, or I might know him. And there was the story with Crampton, where I got on the phone with Brian and I had his dad's stuff, and then I catch this blue marlin on it. And these guys are artisans, these lure makers. They
Oh,
truly are.
100%.
Yeah. And I worked at Brown for a long time. It's one of the most liberal schools there is. And you just you have to be cool with people, and they have to know you're authentic. And I am. And especially when it comes to fishing. So I helped out on a bunch of stuff like that, or people that I knew or knew somebody that I knew. And he's just slowly growing his business, and for all the right reasons. For all the right reasons. And you know, like talking to Eric Rusnick from Aloha Lures, it's like, they see the genuine person that he is in the company.
He's a
And
great guy.
yeah, yeah. And I don't want to say that that's rare, but it's like, and you go back like here's a kind of a cool story. Like, remember the Williamson Lures? You know,
Very, very well.
yeah, so like they were European, and then I remember them from back in the day, and then and that story progresses, and you know, and then he's fishing in Cape Verde, having one of the best years of all years. And then last year I interviewed his mate because he jumped in the water to gaff to 1370, and now that's a different lure maker. And then I helped them get that contract. And it's just, it's one of those things that if you're good to people and you're honest with people over the years, it kind of adds up. And this is fishing.
Yeah.
It's very competitive. I mean, incredibly competitive.
It's unbelievable.
Cutthroat,
It is,
cutthroat, man.
yeah, it's way cutthroat. People don't realize that, but it's
Oh, I mean,
cutthroat.
there's, what we know, the yacht fishing, then there's commercial fishing. Then there's like I can remember being in Panama and we're trolling along a trash line. I don't know how many Pacific sailfish I caught. Like I really don't know. Well over 15 that day, one after the other. Then all of a sudden the trash line is still there, gone. Everything's gone. And you look up and you see them jumping freely. Long line.
Oh,
There's a long
yeah.
line, a mom and pop long line, and we go over there and we gather it, and we're releasing fish dead, and sharks everywhere. Like fishing in general, if it's not regulated, geez,
It can be
it's out
it
of
can be
hand.
scary. Yeah. When I lived in Venezuela, that was something we would see every afternoon as you're running in. It's like, oh, free jumping white marlin. Then you go another 100 feet. There's another free jumping white marlin. Then you realize, oh, they're not free jumping. That's a
Yeah,
long line. Now they're not very long. They're not like US long lines that are 26 miles long, but still you got, 300 yards of hooks. You got a lot of
yeah,
white marlin jumping.
yeah. And I mean, and there's a reason why all of a sudden everything just stops after you can't keep them off the lines.
Yeah.
They found another place. I mean, 2 years ago, I'm looking at the hook right now, caught a nice blue marlin with habitat in a 31 Bertram in out of Horta, and I pulled the long line hook out of it. Beautiful hook, like work of art.
Yeah.
And somehow that fish got away.
Most of the time, depending on what countries you're fishing in, but most of the time, they don't want blue marlins. They want tunas and they want swordfish. But a lot of countries, like you said, go to Panama. You go to Dominican Republic, protein is protein.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah,
You,
I get
you
it.
know, I,
Going up.
I listen. It's hard for me to be sitting on a recreational boat catching blue marlin, trying to talk shit about a local fisherman that's trying to provide protein for his house. I can't.
100%. And we talk about mates and about places I've been. The most impressive guys were the mates were from Ghana because Johan would pick them so that they could get work, but they were you and they'd leader the billfish like this.
Oh, just okay.
They were used to pulling, and they all had forearms, but
Yeah.
they were used to from a seated position, just pulling those mackerel lines up with, I don't know, 10, 15 mackerel on it. It's like, I mean, it reminds you of codfish.
Yeah.
Codfish on there from that with all that weight. I mean, it's a bit of a chore. And they were just amazing, like how they could do this, and just keep their balance. And
And
whereas
still
everyone,
pull. And still
yeah,
pull.
and the fish were big. And the fish were big.
Yeah.
Mine was big, and he had to hold on to that thing until he couldn't. And that fish was weird because it came in really quick, and we were able to get the hooks out of it. But then it put on a show. I don't know. They're all different. They're all different.
Well, it's just like human beings. That's what people don't understand. Oh, you caught a blue marlin. No, each one is different.
Yeah,
Each
yeah.
one is different.
Species are different. The captains are different. When I fished in Kona, they were all so weary that I fished stand up, we fished a tournament there a few years ago, and we won. The lure makers with Aloha Lures, we won a day. We won the day's purse, and
Yeah.
we ended up second. But they were skeptical, and then you hear them later on going, actually, it was better because I can move.
Yeah, you're not stuck to one side or the other.
Can move. And so much of it with the big sport fish nowadays is they back down on them so fast. And if as long as you can reel, and if the fish goes down, there's so many things that you learn if your ears are open from really good fishermen and just listen. Like Fighting a tuna and fighting a marlin are completely different.
Oh my God, totally
Completely
different.
different. Completely different. Now you might get a tuna that comes in easy one
Yeah.
day, but if you don't know what to expect, it's going to make it a lot harder.
We had a tuna this year. You were talking about fishing up in Canada in shallow
Oh,
water.
yeah.
We hooked it in 32 foot of water, and we
Mhm.
finally got the release. We were in 17 foot of water. It was a
Yeah.
fish we called 900, but on the leader, instead of doing these giant circles up and down, it was just right on the surface. They couldn't go nowhere.
Yeah.
And they, like you said, they fight different.
Yeah.
There's nothing they can do. You got to adjust to what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't break your back, but you're chasing a lot.
Yeah. And yeah, it depends on the boat. It depends on so many different things. Like if you can put your feet in the right place, but like tuna fishing, you have to have the stamina to get them to the boat. And then you have to know about that circle that they do and know what to do, know the type of boat you're there. They have a keel. So you don't have to worry so much. They're single diesels, most of them.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry so much when it's going under the boat and it does its thing. But like when it gives you line and you don't take it back, you're going to pay for that.
Oh,
Because they're so big. They're so big. I don't care how the math just can't. They put their head down and they wave their tail. You're going to, but if you
exactly.
stay and you don't. Now, whereas if you do that to a marlin early and they go down, you got a problem.
You got a big problem.
You got to keep them on the surface and don't put too much drag on them. If you put too much drag on them, when my tuna buddies came marlin fishing, they're like, what do you use at strike? And I say 17, 19 pounds of drag. I said, and then I almost never move my finger up. I just use my hand, you know, and because if you put too much on them, they tend to want to go down.
One thing I learned early on in my career from a captain, I never fished. I can't say I never fished. I never fished with him work wise. I rode out with him a couple of times, uh, dozen times. One of the things he taught me was
Who is this
he.
fly?
Who is this?
Yeah, who are you
Uh,
talking about?
his name is Mike Lemon. He used to run the
Okay.
boat called the Revenge.
Yeah,
Caught,
yeah.
I mean, the boat itself caught something like 1,800 fish in St. Thomas alone. And one of the things that he taught me was so many people they're always so worried about line off the reel, where they just want to get right on top of the fish. And the fish in turn wants to go straight down. And he's like, I don't care how much line is off the reel. My whole thing is, how do I fight the fish? I want to stay upwind of them.
Mhm.
I want to keep that angle in my favor where it's forcing the fish to constantly come up as opposed to going down.
Yeah.
And what that does is it forces the fish to come up. And once the fish feels that downsea wind, the fish will want to rest and swim down sea. Now you can go and quickly get the release on them. Where most people want to keep as much line on the reel as possible. And sometimes that's straight up and down, and it kills the angler.
It kills the angler. And I mean, the concept of it, my graduate degree is in biomechanics. So like if I were to have somebody that just started, we'd leave the marina, I'd take everything off but the swivel. And I just let the line run out because I have a 100-yard top shot. I'd say, get a little bit into the spectra. And then I'd say, come out of gear. Now, wind that in. That's just a line coming through the water, just the line. Now you put a big fish on the end of it, and you can see the dynamic changes drastically. And we've all been there. Everyone's looking here, and the fish is over there.
Yeah.
So that big bow on the line, you have to be mindful of and where the pressure is. And a good captain, like you said, will give you that arc or that. Whereas, like you learned tuna fishing in Canada, is that like they'll come off at an angle and the fish will be there, and you'll actually be going forward for a lot of the fight until you get down and dirty. Yeah.
100%.
And then you're just retrieving and you're looking for lobster pots and stuff like that. But like, you're retrieving, and the beauty of a stand-up angler is me just doing this or this can change the pressure. just because there's less pressure or less angle. And you got to be fit, obviously, but I think that if you teach and people learn to use their body weight. As I've gotten older, I use my weight more. Whereas when I was younger, I would get more of in a squat, and I'd really like to put the pressure, and then my eyes would be on the tip and here. So many fish I've never seen jump because I'm looking down at my spool, the whole time with a hat on, But yeah,
I tell
it's
when I coach people, I tell them you're fighting the fish with the rod, not the reel.
yes.
You have to fight the reel is nothing more than to retrieve and dispense line at a predetermined drag. You're fighting the fish with that lever, which is
Yep,
the rod.
yep.
And that's how I coach them from the very get-go. And once you get them past, and that's why I always say women and children are the best anglers,
Absolutely.
because there's no, there really is no muscle in it. It's leverage. And once you learn that it's leverage, then you use the muscle to be able to achieve what you want. And once you know it, it doesn't matter what rod or reel you're using. You can go 4 pound test. It's still a lever action.
Yeah, and the thing is that that fish doesn't have any idea I mean, if you could get into their brain, obviously, but it's coming along, hey, I'm going to eat, I'm going to eat. Then all of a sudden it's dragging all this weight behind it and it's got something and it might be on the other side, like pulling their head there. If you rest, they're smart enough, man, they'll get them off.
Yeah.
And if you've ever had one side of the boat and you've reached your hand down there and that beak goes whap like that, they are just so tactile and like that thing is way smarter than all of us combined. It just ate the wrong meal.
They know how to do three things: eat, swim, and make little babies, man. That is it. And all I want to do is watch them do one of those, which is eat. I want to see them eat.
And then, to get back to the GZ thing, because I've traveled so much and I can want to continue to do that. And your point is really well taken about going to places and being able to see other things other than the marina and the hotel that you stay in. And I was really guilty of that, in sports because you get to see the stadium and the hotel and the airport. And that's it. And you could go to a cool city and you never really get a chance to experience it. So I've been trying to do more of that and Paul and I kind of had a rule where we would go to a place more than once because the learning curve kind of goes like this, who's a captain we like to fish with, who are mates we like to fish with, boats, those types of things. But, because I traveled so much and Cole was like, hey, why don't you start interviewing people when you're at these destinations? Because some of them I knew, some of them there are people that they knew that I knew. Like I remember sitting there with Marty and with Les, and they both had been to Ascension. And I bring up this guy, Jeff something. He was a Florida guy that I met in Brazil for the first time before I started fishing with Sean Wallace. He's like, you know Jeff? I said, well, I said I fished with him. To say that I know him, I don't know, but
Yeah.
and it's such a small community. And to your point that we talked about off camera is that, captains are different, man. Mates are different. Like their trust level is, and it's a lot like athletes, once they earn your trust or you earn theirs,
It's a
it's
different game.
it's pretty cool, you
Yeah.
know. Um, but in any event, and I do actually like to hear their experiences and want to know what they've seen, and then, some of the coolest things I've seen. Like with the Nortons, we went out to do a pre-trolling trip for giant tuna with all these lures from all over the world in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. And Spencer goes, now these are guys that are fourth generation tuna fishermen in Canada. And he goes, what is that? And you look over there, and it's like somebody took a swimming pool of burgundy wine and dropped it in the water. And we go over and check it out. It's this enormous white shark that just took the tail off of like a 400-pound seal. And it's
Wow.
just, I mean, to actually get to see that and like experience it with them. And I said to the dad, I go, you must have, he goes, that's the first time I've ever seen a white shark. And he's only on the water every day.
But this was a while ago
Yeah,
because
this was probably no, not that,
when
maybe
I say
6 years
a while
ago.
ago, more than 10 years ago, give or take, or 10 years ago.
No, no, no. It was like 6 years ago. So when I
Okay.
first started going there, they weren't there.
Exactly. When I first went there, there was
Yeah.
none. Now,
Yeah.
I I sometimes see anywhere between 8 to 12 a season now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of white sharks up there
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't go swimming there. No, sir.
I have a great picture of me in the water with a bluefin about 1,100 pounds. I was trying to, there was four of them on this busted up net, and I wanted to get a selfie, so I slid in the water in a seal suit, in a wetsuit. I looked just like a fat seal.
Mhm.
Now, are you kidding me? There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no way
Yeah.
I wouldn't get in the water. I've seen so many white sharks. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And to watch it and to just sit there and we'd have like four sets of eyes on it and it disappear. Then all of a sudden it'd come out of nowhere. We'd be, oh, there it is. Just how impressive it was. And it stalked the seal, and the seal had no, I don't know how it was still alive, but it would bring its head up and gasp a little bit and then come back down. And I'm not being inhumane. This is just what we saw. And the shark was just so cautious because it was probably feeling its heartbeat still. And it waited until it sank off and you just saw it go down.
Yeah. Well, that's what they
I'm
do. They go in, they
amazed
clip the
at it.
tail, and they take their time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And then I probably devoured. I mean, and that was a big seal.
There are so many
How big the
seals up
white
there.
shark was, but it wasn't,
I
you
listen,
know,
I've never seen any monster white sharks up there. I
yeah, I don't know.
they're I mean, I think the biggest one I've maybe seen 11 or 1,200 pounds. I see a lot of juveniles. I see
Yeah.
a
I mean,
lot
it
of
was it was a
juveniles.
big shark, but it wasn't like,
Yeah,
but
you're
lengthwise, it was big. It was bigger than the beam,
yeah,
like
but I've never seen no 20 footers. I haven't seen any 33,000 pound fish yet. Yet. Give it time. They'll show up.
well, I hooked a dolphin, a black, I don't know, dolphin or porpoise on a skipjack on a circle hook in Panama, and it spooled me. So, I mean, I'd like to hook one of those things.
I
You know,
I
legally, I would cut it off, of course, but I would like to battle it for a while.
we caught one that got snagged by a cedar plug in the dorsal fin.
A white shark?
No, 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 no.
Well, a dolphin?
A dolphin. Yeah,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
dolphin. We snagged one in the dorsal fin with a cedar plug. You know, way out there, you're chasing the porpoise
Uh,
schools around trying to catch a tuna, get a bite. It's like something's not right here.
Yeah. No,
Something's
it
not
looked
right.
like the tail. It went zin, 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 and it
Exactly.
just line just gone, pop, gone. Well, but then, so we just interview these captains, we get them to talk and mates, and we talk, talk fishing, and it's really cool. I normally ask three questions like, how did you get the sickness? Where did your passion come from? And then biggest fish that they've ever seen, and then the fish that got away. And it's pretty neat because that's that to me, that's the allure of fishing. You get wrapped up in it when you get pretty into it and pretty good at it and high up. But the reality is that there's a reason why you'll sit on a boat 10 days in a row on a boat ride for 10 hours. That Africa trip, and I didn't know any of this. When they say it's Africa hot, that's the truth.
It's Africa
And,
hot.
and you're weather related. And Ghana was flat calm. But the whole time, the captain was on the phone with the airport because he says when these storms come on, they come off the Sahara Desert. They're the formations of some of them are hurricanes, and
Correct.
he
That's
says
what a lot of people don't know.
he says it's like nothing you've ever seen. So that trip, the boat was as old as I am, or maybe older, maybe like 74 Bertram or something.
Yeah.
And it's a river mouth where you go in and out of, and they were legitimate breakers. like legitimate 6 footers, you know. And the sandbar moves, and same as Brazil was then. I don't know what it's like now, but one day we're out there, the day before the hooker lost the prop. And they're out there in that estuary changing the prop. And I'm like, there's stuff in that estuary that'll eat you, you know. And and then we lose ours and we come back in, we lose steerage. He turns around in the surf. There's ways to die, very easily. But you had to go in, you had to, and we were getting close. The sun comes up because you're on the equator at 7 a.m. When we were there.
Yeah.
And it goes right down. So if you get stuck out there, you're stuck. And I mean, when we were there were oil tankers that couldn't pay their bills or whatever. They just drop their anchor and leave them.
And they sit there forever.
Yeah. And you see little sparks up there, and there are people up there cutting the metal off and selling the metal, the steel. I mean, it's just a whole other part of the world, and that wave picked up the stern of that Bertram. And I had my stand-up rods. They were all in the chair, lashed down. We had one prop, and those mates, they clung on all of, I got a photo of all of us, like, and my good guess is they probably wouldn't have made it.
Wow.
Because I don't know if they could swim or not, and we were, and I saw the land and I said, I think I can make it. I can make it. And, and then we hung out, and just the coolest human beings, man. But again, I don't know how I got on that story, but giving people these stories that people need to be comfortable to tell is pretty cool. Yeah.
That's what the industry's all about, man. I mean, really, I know during COVID, I wrote my first book. And one of the quotes I had in the book is we call it fishing, but fishing is what you do in between bites. The other
Yeah.
stuff is catching.
Yeah.
Fishing is spending time with your friends and family and telling stories and sharing story. I mean, that's why I love fishing. It's because I get to hang out with people. I get to talk with people. That's what I enjoyed when I did it as a deckhand. As a captain, it's a bit lonely. You're sitting up there on the bridge only with your voice.
I can see that.
Yeah,
You know,
I used to always before podcast, I would put Mike and Mike in the morning, the sports channel. I would download it and I'd put it on my speaker just so I have voices talking. So you're not just processing things. Okay, I want to make a left. I want to make a right. Why did I make that left-hand turn? Why did the fish not eat? So you start going, listen, I have a plan. It's like, for me, it's like chess. These are my next three moves. And the last thing you want to do is talk yourself out of a move. I trust what I'm doing. I trust the process. But sometimes, listen, you can't make a fish eat. So
no,
but you can chop your own tree down really quick when you're up there on that bridge.
it's so amazing. And I think I've been around it enough over the years to have seen it ebb and flow and change the amount of people that are involved in it now. The boats are like unbelievable. The
Oh,
boats are just absolutely unbelievable. The technology is unbelievable. But it still kind of comes down to, the basics of it. For me, I'm willing to go and travel where some people wouldn't even travel to that place
yeah,
and risk rough weather offshore. And with my budget, it's probably never a 50-footer boat. It's like 30s and maybe a 40-footer every once in a while, and go backwards at, 6 to 9 knots for multiple, just watching stuff. And I don't have a care in the world. This calendar year will probably be my first year. I haven't caught a billfish in a while, but my last trip to the Azores, I went earlier this year. I'll never forget it. My mates were really super cool. I fished with, different people I'd never fished with, and the scenery was absolutely unbelievable. So, I mean, for me, that's kind of what does it. But to see the evolution of the profession, the hardy people stick with it, and those are cool people, really cool people. They go through the good times and the bad times, but if you're not on the water, you're not going to get bit. There's
Exactly.
so many stories of that, man. There's so many stories of
You're
that.
not going to catch them sitting at the dock, man.
You got to be willing to pay, when I was young, we would go out to the North Rip off of Block Island in a 19-foot at night before GPS, 19-foot Mako, center console,
The
no
stuff we
top.
used, the stuff we
Here's
used
where
to
you
do.
hold on. Here's where you hold on. And you're like, and we're drifting eels, for striped bass. I don't know. It's not smart. Not smart.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
it builds character.
I guess
It builds character. And right about now, I'm feeling like a Looney Tune.
single engine, uh, yeah, it's pretty neat. And the stories, are pretty cool. But yeah, to circle back to the GZ thing, it's been really cool. Because obviously you see that thing grow.
Oh my
And
God, it's growing exponentially. And it's
yeah,
great because as I go places, I mean, I just got back from the Middle East last week, and I fished the tournament in Fujairah.
yeah,
And one of your guys, Chris Donato,
yeah, yeah,
he's doing a lot of work with elite fishing.
yeah,
So a couple years ago, can't remember what I was doing. I was in the Middle East, and I flew in from Saudi Arabia to Dubai. And Raji, the owner of Elite Fishing, it was during the Dubai Boat Show, so it must have been springtime, March, right
yeah.
around there. And Chris came in, and we were talking about what you guys were doing with GZ lures and all that. So I was able to have dinner with him.
Mhm.
And when I was in Fujairah, I shot him a text. Hey, how come you're not here fishing the tournament? He's like, man, I'm getting married.
Oh
And I'm
yeah, he
like,
got married in Italy.
he just got married in Italy.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And I think he's gonna be fishing in Canavieiras in Bahia in Brazil.
oh,
So I
nice.
don't know. It's hard to keep up, man. It's hard to keep up with people. But for me, I want to just continue to go back to the Azores and continue to go back. And the fishery is, it's only a couple months, but they're there longer and there's
Yeah, but
too
it's a beautiful place. You got there's something to be said. Like you said, you might only get one or two bites, but they're good bites.
they're good bites and it'll test you, it'll test you, to make sure all of your stuff is right and you're perfect. Um, and I like that. I like that because it allows you to get focused on really what's important. And I was never really somebody that really cared about like, how many we caught or how many. It's the experience. That's why because the mate is somebody that's there with you. And I have seen there's a trend now towards, hey, we got this many flags flying or we got this many. And I get all that. I mean, I really do. Times have changed with media and stuff like that. And I think it's a positive for the fishery itself. But like, when I talk with my daughters a lot, I said, just be in the moment because you don't know when that moment's going to come again. But this is the reason why you're doing it to be in that moment.
Exactly.
To hear that reel going off and just, I think Penn used to make that alarm clock that sounded like the clicker going on. It's
Well,
like there's something about that, at least for me.
you bring up a very valid point, and I I'd like to bring it. I'd like to actually talk about it because uh, I say men, but let's just say people in general. Uh, and the reason I say men to begin with is usually we're the ones that are caught in this, but it happens to women as well. Um, there's a moment that bonds people, and it's when you are trying to achieve the same goal, and it seems to only happen that I've noticed in three different things. It either happens in the military when you're on the battlefield, when you are an athlete, when you're trying to beat another team, or when you're fishermen trying to beat a fish. And
Yeah.
you have that same goal that everybody on the boat, everybody on a team, everybody in a battalion goes for. And when you achieve that goal, it bonds you. So going to what you say, the captain and the mate are so important because these are people that you're going to be bonded with. If you catch, and I use the word if because you might not catch the fish of a lifetime. You might just catch a fish, which is great, and you're bonded with somebody. But when you catch your personal best, or you catch a fish that was, goes down, and you put an hour and a half into it, and now you're bonded with that mate, you're bonded with that captain. I again, I've been doing this for 34 years now, and there's a handful of people that I have become bonded with
Mhm.
because of I helped them catch their first whatever.
Yeah.
And they still call me up and they still wish me Happy New Year's or Merry Christmas or whatever it is. Or sometimes I might not see them for 2 or 3 years, and suddenly I get a phone call out of nowhere, and vice versa, where I give them a call. Something comes up on social media and it reminds me of so and so. And we as humans bond to that when you're trying to achieve a goal. And you, as a fisherman and also an athlete, you've
Yeah.
been on teams where you're trying to achieve a goal. And I found that, at least for me, going back to sports, this is what fishing has given back to me, even now in my mid 50s. It's something that I enjoy because of that, because of the bonds, the friendships that I create.
Yeah, it's a really valid point, Fly. I mean, me personally, don't really know anybody or have fished with anybody that has a multi-million-dollar boat. I think the nicest, I need to think about this. I fished on a 61 Garlington in São Paulo because I was friends with the guy. We didn't catch anything. And to this day, I think that's really the coolest boat. I just really, I've always liked it, and I got a chance to be on one.
Do you remember the name of it?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. And then I fished on a very rare 44-foot Rybovich Express in Rhode Island, really early. I don't think they made many of them, maybe only a handful. And that was really impressive. But they were impressive because of how they were made. Like I used to build furniture and I'm like, oh my God, like the craftsmanship and stuff like that. So I think even stuff like that to like go, or like, that Horta's a big sailing place. So like I'll talk to the sailing people and I'll just be like, how sick are these people? Or like in Cape Verde one time, they had like, I don't think the boats were that big, like maybe 35 feet. And they were the path that they were taking around the world. And I looked at them and we sit down and we talk and they're so passionate about it. So for me, that kind of really has pulled me into it. It was never, ever a one-up thing with me. And you're right. In athletics, when you have your most talented person that's your most passionate, like I had a chance to coach Michael Vick or like be around him or Ray Allen. These are big name people, but they're as people, or like Rebecca Lobo when I was at Connecticut, female basketball player. Like when you were around them and you saw them handle their business, you know, or like, and you go to the fishing community. I fished with Olaf and Marty. Olaf was the captain and Marty was the mate. Let me tell you something. He was probably one of the best mates knowledge-wise I've ever been around.
100%.
Just because you talk about his life in New Zealand and like how I know that's a rough fishery and the boats that they were on and stuff, and his stuff was tight. And then you go to like somebody that was a commercial fisherman, or like I fished with the mate, his name is Papau, and famous mate in Cape Verde, doesn't really speak any English. But he sees me reeling a blue marlin on stand up the first time, and he's like, because he knows. And like that type of thing is pretty neat and pretty cool. but you also know not to run your mouth or to shoot your mouth off, or you kind of give everybody their berth, so to speak. And your point you made earlier, children and women, it's the same thing in athletics. Coaching them, there's no ego.
Yeah.
There's no, the best team I've ever coached was women's basketball at Connecticut in 1994, the first title that they won because they were hungry, man, and it was like something special.
Well, that is probably one of the best programs out there.
But that was the first one. Like that was the first. They were
Yeah.
trying to Tennessee, and we saw that. And the year before, we lost in the Final Four to North Carolina and Marion Jones, the sprinter. She was a basketball player, and she was the person that kind of beat us. And then the next year, we beat Tennessee. But like to be a part of that again, like I said earlier in the talk, I was lucky to be around that. You didn't know it was happening when it was happening. You thought, it's like this everywhere. Or like you get on and you get to fish with a Les Gallagher. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
wow. Or a Marty or an Olaf. And they really are that good. And very few people can go and be that good and not put the time in. Or like you listen to the pedigree of an Olaf, or like a Zach Condi's been to Ghana, or they've been to Ascension, and they've been even to just go there is hard, let alone go there and get on a boat where, like, look, if you go down, you're gone.
Yeah.
There's nobody else.
There's no Coast Guard.
There's
There's
no
no,
Navy coming to get
no,
you, you
there's
know.
nothing.
And so that's always been kind of cool, the allure. But when it all boils down to it, it's the fish and hearing that reel go off, hearing that
It's,
reel go off, and just the excitement that comes. And then when you get good at it, when the excitement comes and you're cool, you're like, all right,
uh,
what do I got to do? You don't just go like, some people still do, but
no,
like,
no. Listen, one of the things that I tell a lot of people when they're having that moment, I'm like, hey man, you're doing everything, but do me a favor. Live in this moment, like you said with your
yeah,
daughter.
yeah,
Li-
yeah.
You're going to forget this because it's going by so fast. For
Mhm.
you, it's going by fast. It's no different than in sports. Things finally slow down after X number of hours. It slows down. Oh, did you see that fish? He has a white spot on his peck. It's like, how did you know that? It's like, no, you see it because it slows down. So you try to, hey, we waited for 8 hours for this bite. Enjoy the moment. Take a deep breath. Stop looking at your reel for a second. Fish is
Yep.
running. It's jumping. Enjoy it.
And
Enjoy
you
the
need
moment.
somebody like that to tell you because you get so focused.
Exactly.
Now when I hear, I look up. Whereas
Yeah.
before, my hand is here. And I'll never forget the first time I saw a Mako shark do the old
Uh,
backwards,
the backflip.
that is the coolest thing on earth, man. Whoever knew they did that?
It's
You know,
amazing what you see when you keep your
yeah.
eyes open.
In Los Angeles, we used to go to Los Angeles to fish, the Mako shark, back then we would
Uh,
troll for them. And you'd see in Los Angeles being in the rearview mirror
how
off of
cool is
Catalina
that?
Island. Yeah.
How cool
And you're
is
like,
that?
you want to do that? Why don't you want to go to the bars or what? I said, man, I don't know.
Uh,
It's it
Been
is.
there, done that. I
Yeah,
want to
it's
see
what we wanted to
something.
do.
Yeah. I want to see them. I want to see animals do their thing.
Yeah. And like, oh, I could catch a Mako. This is kind of cool. Or
Yeah.
like going to Cabo and it's like one striped marlin after another, after another, after another. And then you go in and you're like, ah, man, I don't want to go out. I don't want to be out so late, but I'll do it anyway if the fishermen are going to be there and we'll hang out and go do it again.
Actually, the cool part is not catching them. Sometimes it's sitting, for me, it's been sitting up top and watching all the animals feed on the bait balls.
Yeah.
You see the seals, you see the striped marlin, they're all coming in on the bait balls. It's like, man, that's cool.
Yeah, and being out there and seeing something you've never seen, like I was in Ascension and I was up. We would use a cooking timer, the 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off. So I
Uh-huh.
went up. And we're in this place called the washing machine, and I looked down and I went, "Oh my God!" And it was a whale shark, just riding along with us, and I had never seen one. And just the impression of the thing and in that blue water, like I'll never forget it.
They're so
Or like
cool.
when two orcas come up and they inverted. on our teaser that was dangling, and you're sitting there going, man, they could take this boat out in a heartbeat if they wanted to.
And
Like,
never
like
think
that's
twice.
massive. That's massive. So to see those things, and then another thing, especially in the Azores, is very few people get to see the beauty of that island from the water. You're out there trolling along and you're like, oh my God, this is just absolutely breathtaking. Same thing with Hawaii. I thought that was, just like this is so far out here in the middle of nowhere and people live here, so.
You are in the
And
middle of
I know I'm
nowhere.
yammering, but
No, 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 man. Listen, that's what I want. I want people to hear these stories because not everybody gets the opportunity that we get, you know?
yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things that I'm very cautious about. Like, I use a lot of the same gear that I've used and watched it evolve. I mean, my original rod builder was Martin Yoshida. He passed. And then I get my rods built, in Orange Beach, by Lee Selman at J&M. And I bring down the original model on it. I mean, and it's kind of the same way in fishing, It's like if I were to go to fish in Horta and I said, hey, Les, I'm not available, I'm booked. Who would you recommend? And it's just like it's the same way in athletics.
Yeah.
know? And it's the same thing with GZ. I mean, to say, hey, listen, the guy's going to call you back. He's going to handle his business. He's going to have stuff there when he says it's going to be there. That's really important because the fishing community, things pop up on you so fast, man. I'm out the door and I'm going, I got a whole set of rods and reels and lures they're on Pico Island right now because if tuna's come in the wintertime,
You want to have your stuff there.
well, like if I can go, how
Yeah.
nutty is that? How nutty is that to be, Christmas time, you catch a bluefin or something like that,
I don't leave my house without my passport and my captain's license. It's with me right now, everywhere I go, because you never know when somebody's going to call you up and say, hey, there's a bite going on. You want, I need somebody to run the boat. I need a deckhand, or hey, I just need an angler.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll do it. I don't care.
And you're a perfect example of this, Fly. Hey, I want to go to Panama. I'm thinking about, well, I got a guy, and I called you up, and you're like, you told me about this guy, and then afterwards you said, hey, how was it? Honestly, tell me, and that's the word of mouth is
I am very I get so many calls on a daily basis. Hey man, I'm looking for a job. Hey man, I have an opening on my charter. And I have
yeah,
no problem helping my friends out. Zero.
yeah,
But, and this is the giant but, if I send somebody your way and you do them wrong, I'll never recommend you again. So
yeah,
you got to do people right. So when you call me up and say, hey, I recommend, I want to go here, call this guy. I want to make sure he took care of you. Listen, I don't need him to do backflips, but I just want to make sure he took care of you. Was there any problems? Were there any issues? And because it's my name, it's
yeah,
my name. I have no problem recommending somebody as long as I know. Um, one thing I hate is if somebody doesn't call me back. And the last thing I want is somebody that calls me and says, hey man, your guy that you told me to call, he never called me back.
yeah.
That's where
It's
I
a
have a
different day
problem.
and age. It's a different day and age, but I get you. And it's or like, for me at least, not to go off on this tangent, I like to talk to people. Or like, say, hey, listen, I'm gonna call Fly up and I'll ask him, and then, and you've always been great, you
Yeah,
know.
well, that's a perfect example.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
when you told me about the guy that I used to coach and I forgot about it, and he's like, hey, he wants to go to the Azores or he wants
yeah,
to
that
come.
was Jared Fison.
Yeah, phase on or something. I said, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
And
he
you got to
played
remember,
he
there's a
played
lot
with
of people.
I know he
Yeah, there's
played
a
with you in
lot of people.
Indianapolis.
Yeah. And I was like, oh God, what a small world. But
It's
yeah,
tiny. It's a tiny
yeah,
world, and especially once you make it even smaller where it's elite fishing, because not everybody wants to go out and catch a blue marlin. I mean,
we're like, I'm all set.
it might be on your bucket list, but it's
Yeah.
another thing to actually go out there and do it on a consistent basis. It's tiny. and we all just travel around and I mean, it's a traveling circus is what it is.
But yeah,
So
the GZ thing has been great. I mean, he's just a great dude, and being involved with it, it's a pleasure. It's
I'm glad to see that you're doing well with it and Cole's doing well with it. And I know my business partner in Saudi buys a lot of stuff from Cole,
yeah.
and he talks to him quite often. He talks to Chris all the time as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Pick up the
which
phone.
it's I think it's great. I think it's great. Use our industry as a resource. You become a better fisherman.
Yeah, and the people that are crazy enough to go one step further and make a fishing lure. It's because they've seen it work. I can make one like this, or I can do it, and I can. And then most of them are very modest.
You know who I got the pleasure of fishing with this year in Japan was Steve Coggins.
Oh wow,
Steve is a good
I met him.
dude. You've never met him?
Wonderful lures. No, wonderful lures,
Man,
man.
if you ever want the opportunity, let me know. I'd be happy to introduce you to him. Just a great down-to-earth guy. I just talked to him the other day. He just became a grandfather for the first time. His story is great. I asked him to do a podcast. We'll probably do it here soon. Uh, he started making lures just so he can fly them back and forth to Hawaii. He went out to Hawaii, he made some lures. He used to live there and he was a fisherman for a while, commercial fisherman. Then he just couldn't make any money, so he went back to California and was making lures, made some lures, went to Hawaii and he sold them. And he's like, "Wow, I was able to pay for my trip." So that's what he started doing every year. And he doesn't make a lot of lures every year. He just makes a handful and he does them right there in his house, nobody to help him. But just a way cool dude,
I have to
down
meet
to
him.
earth
That's
guy.
the lure I lost that fish on in Ascension, was the Coggins. Inverted.
Let
I
me know.
remember.
I'd be happy to introduce you. He's just
We'll talk.
what's yeah, we'll talk. We'll
We'll
talk.
talk.
He's a super cool guy. One of those guys after I met him, when I saw his name, oh, okay. I know the lures. And when he walked up to me, he's fly. Yeah, that's Steve Coggins. And we started talking and shooting the shit. And he goes, man, when I first got called to fish this tournament, I didn't know if they were pulling my leg. And they showed me one of the videos and you were on the video. He goes, well, shit, if Fly was there, it's got to be legit. Yeah. And we were there and just a handful of people speak English. But listen, I go to Hawaii as it is 2, 3 times I'm sorry, not Hawaii, Japan, 2 or 3 times a year. So, and I've been going since 2016. I fish the JIBT every year. It's one of my favorite places to go to. As far as countries go, the Japanese culture,
Yeah,
uh,
you've
it,
said that. Yeah.
it's not only different, but there's depth to it. The United States has been a country for 250 years. Japan's been around for 5,000 years. So their history, uh, yeah, I can go on forever about Japan. And I love it. I absolutely love it. The people are great, the passion for it. I always go over there and I give away tons of t-shirts and all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, I just love the people over there and I stay in touch with them. They send me things that they do all year long. We don't speak the language. I mean, we don't speak the same language, but with Google Translate, it's again like what you said. We have the same passion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Passion translates.
yeah.
English and Japanese do, but passion translates. So I absolutely love going over there. And if you've never been, I highly recommend it. I highly
Yeah.
recommend it.
I would love to go into that area, and I would also love to go into the French Polynesia area, which I haven't been to yet.
I
But I'm just, like I said, I'm so in love with going back and forth to the Azores that, for me,
if
it's doable.
if you want to go to French Polynesia, let me know. I've got a lot of good contacts. I mean, last year's World Cup winner, Tommy Francis, he built his own boat over there. It's called the Sea Wolf. And
Yeah,
during
yeah.
COVID, he wanted me to go out there and look at his boat and do a story on it. Um, And really, I should get him on the podcast to talk about that, talk about winning the World Cup, but talk about the boat he built. It's just a
Long
great
range.
place.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
followed them. I followed them. I talked to him probably 2019, the owner of that the Ultimate Lady.
correct,
Yeah.
Fred.
And I said, well, maybe I'll go out there, but just for me to go, it was a little bit expensive to go by myself, you
Well,
know.
the Ultimate Lady, you're talking about a 92-foot catamaran. It's different than the Sea Wolf. I mean, the Sea Wolf is it's a monohull. I believe it's twin screw.
That's
Uh,
newer though, right? That
yeah.
boat's
No. They built it right during COVID, man. Right during COVID. Or should I say, they finished it right during COVID.
no,
Um,
it's a good looking boat. It's
it's
brilliant.
it's it's
Wow.
it's a beautiful looking boat, and it allows you the opportunity to go and do a long range trip around all the French Polynesias. You can go to Marquesas, you can fish off of Tahiti, you can go wherever you want.
All right, I'm going. Let's go.
Let's do it. You don't have to tell me twice. It's a short flight. Listen, have passport will travel. You don't have to tell me. Listen, one thing I've learned about when I first started going into this venture of my own business, I'd go to the boat shows and people like, hey, you're that guy on Facebook. Because I was doing a lot of Facebook Lives back in the day before I started building my business to what it is today. And I'd sit there and they're like, hey, uh, come fishing with us. And I have two questions. What's the airport code and what time of year? If you
Yeah.
invite me to go fishing, I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna say no. I mean, I absolutely love it. I mean, again, I'm the son of two immigrants from a communist country of Cuba. And I found a passion in fishing and I've built a career out of it, now a business out of it. You don't have to ask me twice. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I got a chance coming up that New Zealand.
Don't
And
say no. Make it
uh,
happen.
if I can, I'm gonna go.
No, 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 not if you can. Make it
Well, my
happen.
daughters and stuff. So I mean, if I can do it, I'm gonna go. But
Okay, well,
that's
listen,
I'm playing my year out, and we'll see.
listen, there's one thing, your family always comes first, but uh experiences, man, it makes us who we
Oh,
are.
what's that saying? Whenever you go fishing, someone's always mad at you. And that's the truth.
I don't know. The only people that get mad at me are the people that wish they were fishing.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, oh, my friends, oh, what you're there, you're in Hawaii, or you do whatever you want. But yeah.
I have a friend of mine, it must be nice. Hey, listen, man, must be nice. I've been doing this for a living since I was 18 years old. I have busted my ass to get to this point. And I want to take advantage of meeting cool people and going to cool places and opening up my Rolodex to new people. Let me listen. Before I can vouch for your place to be a good place to go to, I want to go there and see it. Hey, man,
Yeah.
this is good. This is beautiful. Uh, it's not a place to take your wife unless she's going to fish 12 hours a day with you. Or yeah, that's a great place because she can do all these other things. I mean, there's certain places I recommend, and there's certain places I'm like, listen, if your wife wants to go, if she's not going to fish with you every day, maybe it's not the place for her. I want to be honest with people when they ask me something.
Yeah, don't bring your wife to Cape Verde, unless
Not unless she
unless you,
wants to go fishing every.
yeah,
That's a perfect
yeah,
example. And if
yeah.
she's not going to go fishing every day, now Azores, bring
Well,
her. It's
yeah.
a beautiful place. Go enjoy it. Madeira, beautiful
Oh,
place.
I've heard Madeira. Yeah, that's on the list too. There's a lot of places to go, Fly. Come on, get off my
I
back.
know that's why I said go do it. Go.
Yeah.
Don't knock yourself out. Don't say, well, I don't have enough time. Listen, none of us have enough time. Time is the only thing that we don't know how much more we have left.
Well, I mean, when I do get time, that's what I do. I mean, if I
Uh,
can. Go on. I'm gonna go
As
home.
like I told you earlier, don't say you're going to retire. You ain't going to retire. You're going to
Well,
keep
I
doing
mean, I
cool
guess
things,
that's the
man.
American way of getting older somewhere else.
Listen,
Yeah.
retiring, all it is now I'm getting ready to die. I don't want to do it. I want to just keep doing stuff until the good
I'm
Lord
gonna
says, "Come on."
I'm gonna convalesce
Okay.
in in Horta, and not in the Big Island either. I like the one out to the west, but yeah, actually, this February, I'm either going to go there and see some of the other islands.
Okay. How
You
many
know, so
islands have you been to?
I've been to two.
Pico and
Oh, actually, Pico's three.
okay.
So, Fayal, Pico, and then San Miguel.
I've been to San Miguel, but that was an accident.
Yeah.
I made
So,
it to San Miguel as an accident. The plane had to divert there.
oh yeah, yeah, we were there when Israel got attacked and those stealth bombers started coming over, and I said, if you were going to the if you were going to the east, you couldn't leave. If you were going to the west, I left. That
Okay.
was February. I think it was February, something like that.
There's always something cool happening.
Yeah, in the world.
What
Um,
if somebody wants to find you, what's the best way to find you?
I have my Instagram. I think it's like whatever your name is, Roger Marandino,
Okay.
on it. And I do that primarily for my fishing friends. That and my WhatsApp, you know.
Okay. No, we're not going to put your private stuff on there, but
Um,
anybody
uh,
that's listening that may want to watch some of your adventures.
yeah, I mean, I do all stand-up stuff, and there's talk of us running a class this year or possibly next year. There was one guy that was interested, but
Where would you run that class?
I probably would run it in Horta, you
Okay.
know, in the Azores in September. We have 2 days. The guest mate this year, as of right now, is going to be Patrick Murphy from Murphy Marlin Norse.
Okay.
And we'll go on the double header with Les. And then I don't know if Max would be the mate or not because, things change. They got another boat there now called the Blue Sky that Olaf is running,
Okay.
older Hatteras, and Max is co-owners with Les on that boat. So I don't really know what the dynamic is, but I'll be stand-up fishing for 2 days with Les. And then the remainder of my days will be on tequila, which is a lures. It's out of Pico. So, and then I
Who
might add more days.
who
You
runs that one?
know, it is a local commercial guy, and they actually have I want to make sure that I pronounce this right. Um, um, Pedro, but I don't know his name is Pedro, but I don't know his last name. But yeah, it's spelled Tekiko. They're out of Pico. It's a lures. It's a
Okay.
really good fish. And then I fished on Habitat with Lucas Folk 2 years ago. We did really well. And then I caught two enormous two big eye tunas. I don't know how big they were.
Have you
And I
done
caught
any
a
sword have you done any sword fishing off of the Azores?
well, they deep dropped a couple of times and they
Okay.
finally caught one 2 years ago, a small one. So I don't know if anybody's gotten one this year, but they're there.
I did it one night. We went out to one of the banks and spent the night out there fishing. We did not
Yeah.
catch anything, but there was a lot of bait, man. A lot of bait.
I'll tell you what I did in Ascension was I pulled up one of those 6 gill sharks.
Sharks, they're cool, aren't they?
Talk about dead weight pulling up a tire.
I know,
Yeah.
but they're cool looking.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it was
They
all right.
don't
I
they
cut
don't
it.
fight like a shit, but they're so
No,
cool to catch.
no.
It's
I
they're
was like, cut it.
prehistoric.
And then we were doing that too, and I caught this fish from the bottom, called an oil fish, and it
Okay.
was long and silver and had this mouth on it, like you couldn't. And I remember when it hit and I'm standing there in the harness and I just went boom and it pinned me to the rail and
Wow.
just pulled so much line and then it came up like nothing.
Okay.
Like a Wahoo kind of, you know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's that deep drop to reel all that up, you know.
that's a lot of line.
I think in maybe in the sushi world, there's something to do with it where you can, if you cut it a certain way, it's not poisonous.
No, no. Well, here's the thing. It's not whether you cut it or not, is if you eat too much of it.
Maybe that's what it is,
That's
but
what it is. You
they
can
had, they were
it's
calling
called
it white tuna or
it's
like
called
black.
white tuna. It's an escalar.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
it
an
was,
escalar.
it was a tuna.
They call it an oil fish. And you can have
Yeah,
two or three pieces, it's great. But if you're gonna sit down and have 12,
you get sick.
ooh, it
Yeah.
it's like drinking castor oil. It's not
Oh
that you
yeah.
get sick, you get the runs.
Oh yeah.
You get the runs, and it's tough on the intestines, man.
I'm all set with that. But yeah, I mean, it was cool. We released it, but
Okay.
I had to hold it a certain way. Um,
You can
but
eat them.
it
You
was
can
pretty
eat
big.
them.
Yeah,
I just wouldn't eat a lot of it.
I went right back in.
Yeah, no, no, let them go.
Some of the tuna there, the yellowfin tuna were just epic. We caught one trying not to catch it. Um, Craig Manza was the mate, Colin Chester was the captain, and we were these guys from Britain would go out there and they'd jig and pop. Yeah. And they'd hook one, and all the other guys be sitting there smoking cigarettes, and they'd be reeling it in for 2 hours on this, like really tuned in spinning gear, you
Yeah.
know? And Craig's like, hey, there's fish on the other side. And we just had a tuna straight in the circle hook. And
Wow.
we went over there, and I was goofing around, trying not to catch anything, and I caught a flying fish. I was fly lining I was playing around, and I catch this beautiful flying fish, and we moved the boat, and Craig puts the outriggers were out, and he pins the dead flying fish, and it's literally right over there. And all of a sudden, my rod just went "Arr," like that. And there's a photo of the fish right up there. And
Wow.
and from a dead boat, it weighed like 288 or something like that. But man, that thing beat me up because it was t day 10 of the trip. I was beat up, and I was like, I'm just putting full drag on it. And then we went, it got the fish to the boat in like 20 minutes or so. And then all of a sudden it goes under the boat and it pins me to the rail and it tore the grip off the bottom of the rod. And it was, yeah,
Really?
we got it. Got it. Brought it up and there was a line of people with trash bags and we just cut
Th-
it up.
They all wanted the tuna.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it never goes to waste.
No, no, every bit of that fish was eaten.
I just don't see, for me, because I see a lot of guys that do all that spin casting.
Yeah.
There's zero. I don't. I don't desire to do that.
I personally feel the same way because
Yeah,
it's
that's
so you can't get any leverage on it and you're going to hurt the fish. You can't release it because it's going to fight till it's dead.
yeah. I know a
Now
lot
you
of
can,
guys that go to Oman and do that. That popping and jigging. They're catching 200 pounders.
yeah,
Eh,
and yeah,
Yeah, I just
fly fishing. It's for me right now. No, no, I don't. Or like in a chair for me right now. No, no, no. I'd like to do it the way I like to do it, but and
have you. I
unfortunately,
know you and I have talked about this. Have you considered as you get older, possibly if you had to go to the chair?
yeah, and you know, this was one thing that I didn't really talk about that's not out there yet, but somebody probably will take it, is that to do stand-up fishing in a conventional stand-up rod like I use is a very good way. There's a better way. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen the acid wrap rods.
I have a couple at home.
Yeah. So they're for somebody that were to learn it, you know, and they use those exclusively now on the boats I fish with in PEI because they're very forgiving. They're ugly, a little bit longer, you know, a little bit longer, so you don't really get as much leverage. But when you're in the corner and the fish is doing its thing, you're more forgiving
It
because
helps you.
Yeah, if you can't move your feet, if you're pinned basically and you can't move your feet and your guides roll over, you're done.
Yeah.
So with that rod, you do get a little bit more of this and that. And
Explain to people that have maybe never heard of an acid wrap, Rob,
yeah,
what
so
exactly is an acid
so
wrap?
basically it gets the name from it looked like somebody was on acid when they wrapped it. And it has what I would call the old traditional Fuji guides that they wrap around the rod like a spiral staircase. And the idea is that it distributes the force of the rod, of the line going through the reel in different spots, and it doesn't create a downward torque. It kind of distributes it over space, which is really ingenious. And you can troll with them because they do use them in PEI to troll these big spreader bars for these tuna. And if you've ever seen a giant tuna hit a spreader bar, it's really
It's
something.
amazing.
Yeah, it's really something to see. It's like a bomb went off. Not to say that a blue marlin, but
No, no, no. It's just different.
I mean, it's instant, and they're not fooling around with it. Sometimes you don't know if the marlin's hooked every once in a while, but like when the tuna hits it, it's pretty impressive. You
They
know,
know. They know which
yeah,
one they want.
they're taking it and they're going down or wherever they're going with it, and they don't want to give it back, and normally they're hooked. So the acid wrap rod is probably the next thing that somebody will take and mass market it. But the ones I've used, some dentist out of New Jersey makes them, and they work very well. So maybe I'll do that later on. But yeah, maybe I'll go to the chair.
Okay.
I have
It's one
my
of those things. There's going to come a point, hopefully not never,
yeah
but as we get older, our knees hurt, our backs hurt,
yeah.
and and that's just the fighting part. Then there's a different thing when you got to fight the ocean conditions as well.
It's very true. You need to be in shape to do
Yeah,
it, just to travel. You can get seasick. I don't care who you are. Every
exactly.
once in a while, it shows up, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. And there's ways to combat that now that early on. I can remember now everything's underwater exhaust. Before horror story, we got on the qualifier 105 in the harbor of Cabo when it was really rough, and they go to close the two doors in the back, and everybody's in picnic stable, style seating, and the air conditioning sucked in the diesel fume from the big. I'm looking at this guy, and they're giving the Coast Guard, the captain's giving, if you go down, this is where you. And I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at him, and he goes, "Bleh," and it goes out of his fingers and all over everybody, and for the remainder,
Oh,
he's that guy. But yeah, I mean,
it
it's
happens.
traveling isn't easy, but
You
anyway, I know I'm getting long-winded, but
no,
yeah,
no. Listen, I want to thank you for joining me.
very cool.
And I appreciate telling the stories and sharing it with everybody. I wanted you to be able to tell a little bit about yourself and what your journey has been through our industry.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get a grander. If I don't, I'll die trying. But
Listen, aren't we all?
yeah,
Aren't we all? Well, with that being said, you don't go nowhere. Let me just sign off, everybody. Thank you very much.
all right.
And we will check you out for the next time.
Thanks. Peace.